If you are anything like me, you're either on an adventure right now, you're actively planning your next big trip, or you're just passively dreaming about that next great destination that you'd like to get to someday. Now, one of the ways that I like to dream and think about future places that I'd like to go is by reading adventure travel books. Right now I'm reading The Japanese-Speaking Curtain Maker by Spencer James Conway. Highly recommended. It is hilarious. And all of his books, of course, you guys know we also love Sam Manicom's books and so on. But I'm not here to talk to you about books. Another great way that I like to get inspired about beautiful places and amazing locations that I'd like to ride to someday is through watching YouTube channels. And I'm going to share with you my top 5 favorite YouTubers that I watch today. Now, this fluctuates a little bit, depending on the content that I'm watching or my specific interest at the time. So some of these may drop from number 1 to number 2 to number 3 and go back and forth and so on. But these are at current 2023 dates, my top 5 YouTube adventure travelers that I want to share with you, and you should definitely subscribe. Number 5 on my list is a young lady that actually kind of started her YouTube channel around the same time that we did. Amanda Zito with As the Magpie Flies is phenomenal. She's a local American, and dare I say she rides a Honda CB500X, as I do. But she's just so down to earth and so approachable and so kind and so friendly with her style, her pacing in her videos. I just get into her videos and just relax. And I love watching Amanda Zito's travels. Now, Amanda was super lucky, and I'm super jealous. She was able to quit her full-time job and do YouTubing full-time. So her channel has just totally skyrocketed. If you haven't already, I highly recommend you subscribe. Number 2 on my list is a relatively new channel, and this is Lavi and Ollie. Now, these two are a young German-British couple who are attempting to be the youngest couple to circumnavigate the globe on a motorcycle, 2-up. They ride a Suzuki V-Strom, so Jason, of course, that would be kudos to Jason's vehicle of choice. And they're just super fun, very energetic. I don't know that they're going to make their record because their videos are so fun and they are always putting out new content and taking side trips and documenting this amazing adventure that they're on. I have no idea how they could possibly, make really good time. If you're on a race, you really don't have time to stop and record and edit and upload YouTube videos, right? They may still make it, I don't know, but regardless whether they make the Guinness Book of World Records as the youngest couple to circumnavigate the globe or not, their videos are fun and friendly, and I highly recommend watching them. Now, the next 3 are very, very close, and honestly, they switch places all the time in my lineup. But because of current interests specifically, and because he took a little bit of a long break in between his last season and his current season, Lyndon Poskitt has slipped to number 3. I know. Some of you, my friends that are out there, are like, what? Because you knew that Lyndon Poskitt was one of my all-time favorite YouTubers, and I just absolutely loved his last season where he rode through Africa. So being from Africa myself, I had that extra interest in his trips. But I just love his style. His channel is called Races to Places. He started it out about 10 years ago, traveling the world on a motorcycle that he could then go and race in rallies. So he would literally overland his motorcycle with all his luggage to a race, like let's say the Mongolian rally, for example. And then he would take his panniers off, put knobbier tires on, or whatever he needed to do to outfit his bike, and he would take off and race the race, and then put his stuff back on and continue traveling to the next race. His style is really cool. He really goes the extra mile of making sure he gets different angles. He added drone footage to his travels recently as well, which has really helped to improve the level of his production. But he's just such a fun-loving guy and such a casual, cavalier style. I love his demeanor, and I highly recommend watching Races to Places with Lyndon Poskitt. Now, be advised, he may jump back up. He's currently, his new trip is in Iceland. I haven't quite, got my teeth into it, but he's at episode 5 or 6 or something like that right now, and I've watched every single one. So I foresee that that's going to probably change in the lineup. But for right now, he's number 3. Highly recommend it. Number 2 on my channel is also going to be a surprise to some of you. Bear in mind, she's probably the most admired and probably the most watched YouTuber of all times in terms of adventure travel videos. I don't know if it's because of her blonde hair and blue eyes, but this young lady, Norlie Schoenemaker from the Netherlands, is obviously one of the greatest adventure travel YouTubers of all time. Her consistency with putting out a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday just blows my mind. As a YouTuber, I know how difficult the production process is. So I am just amazed that she's so consistent and so reliable in terms of putting out her adventures. And the really cool thing about her is that she picks the roads less traveled. She's always off on dirt roads. She really seeks out the remote regions of the world. And for that reason, I just love following her channels, because those are the areas that I would love to go to if, time and finances and all that stuff permitted. I'm always looking to get out into the boondocks, and so seeing what she's doing, especially currently in her current season, riding through Morocco, she's just off in the desert, up in the Atlas Mountains, doing her own thing, and it's just so cool to watch. Now, Norlie has been on a number of different motorcycles, including at one point a CB500X. She's also ridden Royal Enfield Himalayan, but currently she's on a Honda CRF 300, which a lot of us think is a small bike, but honestly it's probably the perfect bike for her because she travels light and she goes mostly off-road. Now, yes, at times Norlie is number 1 on my list, but currently she's at number 2. Again, she took a little break between the seasons, and so that sort of waned my interest a little bit. But also because even though she's super consistent with the production and with the releasing of her videos, the quality and the diversity of the storytelling style is not up to a lot of the other standards that I'm following right now. She doesn't take quite as much time like Lyndon, for example, in setting up remote cameras, riding past them, coming back and picking up the camera. She doesn't have quite as many camera angles on her bike. She basically has 2 or 3 views that are always there. But majority of the time, it's a fairly static production. Her videos are mostly based on where she is and not on the elevated quality of the production. So for that reason, she's slipped to number 2 at the moment. Again, numbers 1, 2, and 3 flip places all the time, so you never know. But she is definitely somebody to be watching. If you aren't already subscribed to Itchy Boots, you got to check it out. Number 1 on my list is a guy that you may not have heard of, and unfortunately, it's probably because of a language barrier. This next guy is originally from Spain, and so his videos are in Spanish. I know that's a little bit of a turnoff to a lot of you, but honestly, as I've been watching it, the more I really enjoy the aspect of having a foreign language. It really draws me in and helps me to feel like I'm on a true adventure in a foreign country. Because Charlie Sinuin is such an engaging young man, and his videos have a powerful production value. He really takes the time to stop and interview locals. Like Norlie, he's also often off the beaten path in the middle of a jungle or on a dirt path somewhere. And he takes a lot of risks. I mean, if you like watching people drown their bikes or in a water crossing or drop them on a steep, slippery slope, this is your guy. He is always getting himself in trouble. There's always drama with Charlie, but I absolutely love how he has so many different angles on his bike. The footage is so diverse. He stops and sets up cameras. He uses a drone as well. And like I said, recording interviews, cutbacks. He's always going back and referring to something that he did, 7 seasons ago. This guy's been traveling around the world for 10 years. And it's actually kind of a joke, kind of funny how he began and how he got his name, his stage name. His real name is Carlos Portal, but in Spanish, Carlos loosely translates to Charlie. And early on, Carlos was inspired by that great documentary by Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor, where they circumnavigated the globe. And he was joking with his friends and said, you know, I think I'm gonna quit my corporate job and travel the world. And his friends are like, oh, so you're gonna be kind of like Charlie without Ewan, which in Spanish translates to Charlie sin Ewan, without Ewan. So I think that is hilarious. But listen, don't be turned off by the fact that he's speaking in Spanish. Just hit that little CC button on your YouTube channel as you're watching, and you'll get the little type along the bottom. It's very easy, and you get tuned in really, really quickly to just reading the text, but don't take away from watching the actual adventure, because his production and his cinematic footage is just phenomenal. I don't think there's another YouTuber out there that is putting this much effort into really creating dramatic, dynamic content with all kinds of different angles and so much different footage and content than Charlie sin Ewan. Well, there might be one person that's doing that, and you guys know how much we do our best to put in tons of different angles and great content, interviews along the way with our trips. A huge kudos goes to Jason Bennett, because Charlie only has himself. We have 3 riders, each of us with 3 or 4 cameras, and the drone, and the phones, and the DSLRs. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of footage that he has to go through and cut and put great stories together for you guys. So a huge kudos to Jason for the amount of work that he puts into putting out each of our episodes. I really hope you'll go and check out and subscribe to these 5 YouTubers that I've just mentioned. They truly are my favorite right now. That can change over time, as you all know, but currently that's my top 5 YouTubers that I highly recommend that you go and follow. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe and check out our channel as well. Our next episode of the Mabder series should be coming out soon. The last one was incredible. If you haven't seen it, Jason put together a really neat video with an interview about a Jeepster and all kinds of great stuff. Stick around, guys. Check out our channel, and of course, go and subscribe to these other 5 that I've mentioned. Have a great day.
Moto, photo, adventure.